Okay, going live.
Once upon a time, not that long ago, everyone would gather round their transistor radios. There were zoo crews and shock jocks and boss jocks and pranks. There were callers and prizes, people with weird names. But that time it has faded. Now there's podcasting wars. Every ad is for dick pills, big pharma, and porn. Even now there are days when all you need is a laugh. Thank God there's one DJ left. He's Radio Ralph. Now the red light is on, so just tune on in. Welcome to the show with Radio Ralph and his friends.
I like that intro.
We're live. We're live with JC. We have a guest, JC.
Well, I'm excited, Ralph. I'm very excited about today. We're joined with a cardinal from the Ecumenical Order of Christ, and I don't want to even begin to get into that. His name is Mathew, and he's from Australia. And I would like to first, if it's okay with you, Mathew, I don't want to bury the lead, but I'm really interested in knowing, before we get into kind of the hot topics, if you will, a little bit about yourself as a person, who you are, what your life was like maybe before you got on this current journey. Like, let's tell us a little about yourself, sir.
It actually started for me about 30 years ago. I was 16 at the time, and I'd had a very secular upbringing up to that point. My family had no interest in anything to do with God or anything of that. Weren't even interested in the concept. And just through a series of unusual events, I ended up transferring to a different high school that was actually Catholic.
Oh, wow.
But it was very much a fish out of water situation for me. But of course, with a school like that, one of the required classes is scripture. And I remember sitting in these classes, and we would have a Bible and a printout of the Catholic doctrines, or a particular, like their interpretation of a particular corresponding scripture in the Bible for that day.
Yes,
And
sir.
I remember sitting here and looking at the Bible and this printout of this interpretation. But this was over a course of several months, and it reached a point about halfway through my first year there. And my grandfather, who had served Australia in World War II, defending against the Japanese. Yeah. And he'd suffered terribly, and he was in hospital dying at the time. And just with the 16-year-old mindset, looking at these things that weren't making sense. And okay, I was at a point where I was ready to accept that God existed, which in itself is a big leap for me with the background that I'd had. But what I'm reading here doesn't make sense. So I started doing my own research, which is where I started to come across concepts like the Anunnaki.
Yeah.
And that in itself took up, in between other things I was doing in my life, because my life was still sort of progressing along a semi-normal path at that point.
So then, like, I just want to really put a pin on it. So you're around 16, and you start feeling a calling of some sort. You're feeling driven towards, and I kind of relate to you, Mathew, because, and is it okay if I call you Mathew? I'm not trying to be disrespectful.
Mathew, either one is fine.
Okay, so I just think Mathew works because I want people to see, it's so easy, I think, on the internet and in the world of binary thinking, people caricature things, right? They don't see the fully formed person underneath. And so to relate to you, when I was 16, I was raised in, I don't know if this is in Australia or not, it's kind of a Protestant thing, but I was raised in something called the Church of Christ. Have you ever heard of the Church of Christ or the Churches of Christ?
I have, but we look at that many different denominations that I'd have to get you to refresh my memory on exactly what the Church of Christ.
It was called it was also called the Campbellites. It happened somewhere in the 1800s. And the idea was to restore kind of Paul's church. They were big in the Apostle Paul. And so they did like one cup. The women wouldn't cut their hair. The communion was every Sunday. We did baptism where you got dunked, all this stuff. And when I was 16, Matthew, I started feeling like kind of the opposite calling, where you were getting called kind of closer to God. I kind of felt myself being kind of pulled out of at least the dogmatic version of religion that I had learned. The dogma. I started questioning things.
The dogma of the Church of Christ, with its Paulinian focus, sort of wasn't sitting right.
Yes, it didn't feel aligned with me and my version of God and how I interpret God and see God. And
Yeah.
so, and I struggled a lot sometimes with like concepts like hell and damnation. All these things are kind of, when you're a young kid, they're kind of in your ideological, they're kind of hard to wrap your head around.
They're very black and white. There's no shades of gray or anything like that.
Yeah. So now, what else, when you said you were kind of still semi-normal at that point, what else is kind of going on in your life? Are you dating? Do you have a wife? Are you getting married young? What does the rest of your life look like when you start going on a religious journey?
I ended up just sort of, I had a girlfriend. From some point, whenever that started, in between, I was like eventually left school. Was working jobs. I was also in and out of hospital a few times with epilepsy.
Oh, wow.
That I continued to do the research. I just felt compelled to at every opportunity, and the understanding that I had, so as of about 2012, was that yes, there was a factual basis behind the Abrahamic faiths, but it was more in line with what we might refer to as science fiction than theological, let's say.
Meaning that there is something. Actually, I heard about this today. I was listening to Joe Rogan today. He had our vice president on, J.D. Vance. And J.D. Vance is one of those people who thinks that demons and aliens and angels are all kind of these same kind of creatures. They're all these kind of, yeah.
I would agree. That's a very blanket way to put it, but yes.
Yeah, and I know I'm painting with a very broad stroke there, but
yes.
At the same time, we're trying to communicate the idea that maybe the metaphysical elements, all the supernatural, are somehow interrelated. Things like the Anunnaki, things like angels, things like demons, alien. These are all different ways of expressing kind of the same idea, maybe.
In the greater scope of things, yes.
So how do you now that we've kind of gotten to that point, tell me now, it's 2012, you're studying the Anunnaki, you're developing this idea that maybe aliens in the heavens and supernatural all kind of related in some kind of way. So what happens then in your journey of life, sir?
Are you familiar with Jordan Maxwell?
I am not, sir. So you have to fill me in, yeah.
Basically, he's passed away now, but he was a esoteric kind of researcher.
Okay.
He didn't necessarily get everything right, at least from my own personal point of view, but he was instrumental in showing not just myself, but many other people how to look at things from different angles and from a more open perspective. So I was looking at things like his work and the Zeitgeist documentaries, which I think
blew my mind. I know that one. Blew my mind.
You know there was 3 of them, don't you?
I only saw the one. I know the one like it was yesterday. The one everybody's seen, where it's like Jesus also is like this other figure is also like Osiris all the way back kind of deal.
Well, to a certain extent, the creator of that sort of did a soft debunking of his own work on the religion part of that.
Oh,
but
wow.
He did go on to do 2 more. One called Addendum, and then a third one called Moving Forward. But they sort of shift in their focus in such a big way that it would take me another couple of hours to talk about just those alone. So I won't do that now. But so I was working in a job, basically electronics assembly, just soldering stuff onto circuit boards in between going to school to study becoming an electronics technician.
Okay.
And the work became, the actual assembly work became that familiar that I could do it without really looking. So I just used the company's Wi-Fi to stream stuff to my phone and watch it with the headphones on. And I started to get bored of watching Zeitgeist things and Jordan Maxwell stuff, which I'd seen pretty much everything of that I could find up to that point. And this one video kept popping up in YouTube as a thumbnail. And it's like God was shoving it in my face. And I kept seeing the playtime of 2 hours and 19 minutes. And I just, can I commit to that?
Yeah.
And so eventually I thought, I'm bored. I want something interesting to watch. So I started
Like
playing it.
we all get that way, yeah.
And it began, it's been a long time since I've watched, admittedly, too long since I've watched that or any of the components, because it turned out it was a compilation video of a handful of others that had been edited together. And there was another listing of it, and it had the name WikiLeaks in the title because this video actually got into the hands of the United Nations. So all of the information in this video, and after we're done, I can find a link and send it to you.
Yeah, I want to know what this video was for sure. Yeah.
Okay. This video began with talking about the return of the Messiah, it wasn't beating around the bush at all. It was just, this is what's going on. And they had various experts in the field talking about different aspects of the concept. And one of them, whose name I cannot remember, specifically referred to Joel Rosenberg, I think it might have been. Don't quote me on that. But he was talking about, but there's a lot of things that the Bible talks about that will happen before the Christ returns, and wars and rumors of wars and all that kind of thing. And all of that has been happening for the last 2,000 years, according to the history that we know. That's a common line that is used. But there is one, what he says himself is a super sign, and that is Israel itself being reborn as a nation, which
1946,
happened, of course,
right?
1946 or 1948, I think the declaration was signed, but it wasn't officially acknowledged by the United Nations until 1967. Now, around that time, there was also what was happening in the skies, what NASA refers to as a tetrad cycle. Are you familiar with that?
I'm learning right now, Matthew. You're teaching me.
It's a tetrad cycle is a series of 4 blood moons and a total solar eclipse within the same period.
Wow.
Now, in between the crucifixion in 30 approximately AD and 1967, these things only happened, these tetrad cycles, I think, only happened 8 times. Since 1967, I think there has been another 8.
Jeez.
Now, on June 9th, 1968, well, June 10th, if you're talking about Israel time zone, that there was a young woman who gives birth to a child, which is interesting because in her youth she was sterilized as part of the eugenics movement. Should not have been capable of falling pregnant.
Yeah.
And this is essentially immediately after Israel being acknowledged as a nation, 4 blood moons, and a total solar eclipse. So the child was born on, which is this date also happened to be Orthodox Pentecost that year. He was born in Chicago, and 5 months to the day after that birth, Chicago was almost destroyed by what was at the time the greatest recorded Is this
the fire? The big fire?
No, the Great Chicago Earthquake.
Oh, okay.
Which was, I think, November, 9th or 10th of November. Yeah, 5 months, 10th of November. Great Chicago Earthquake almost completely destroyed the city. Largest recorded intensity earthquake to date at that time. Now, On January, skipping forward a bit, this young man would grow up, and he, in the city of Chicago, would eventually become the commander of the city of Chicago's Guardian Angels.
Now, this I want to for people who maybe understand pop culture the way I did, or grew up listening to. My dad was like a Rush Limbaugh guy. I don't know if you guys had Rush Limbaugh in Australia.
I know the name. So,
okay, it was like a conservative talk radio guy, right? And so I grew up listening to this guy, and with my dad, and my dad was always thinking about a couple things. Like there was a guy, he was a talk radio conservative guy I learned about from New York. His name was Curtis Sliwa. And Curtis Sliwa founded this group called the Guardian Angels in New York City. And Curtis Sliwa just recently was very famous because he ran against Andrew Cuomo and Mamdani for mayor of New York. And everybody kind of still because here's the thing. He's a cool guy. He's a nice guy. So now when I found out about who we're discussing, Lord Rael, and I found out that he was from the Guardian Angels of Chicago, and I immediately put two and two together. I said, this is the same group that was in the Guardians Angels. It's like the same organization. And what these people did, which people may not realize, it was kind of like Batman. They would go out in town, and correct me if I'm wrong, but they would kind of stop low-level crime. They would try to patrol the streets. They would try to provide some sense of order at a time where the cops weren't doing it, right? So,
well, when you say low-level crime, that did at times involve them running into gunfire unarmed. But yeah.
Oh yeah, I mean maybe it was more than low level. Maybe it was gang
crime. Low-level crime for Chicago.
Yeah, that's true. That's low level in Chicago. That is low level in Chicago.
So eventually, the name he was known by at the time, Raymond Lear, was urged to run for governor of Illinois. Sorry.
Yeah.
And this was a town, a city, or a state, which was famous for its corruption in its legal system.
Bill Daley, the famous Mayor Daley, yeah, corrupt, yeah.
Went to prison, if I'm not mistaken. Oh,
he's
not the only one.
And he wasn't the only one. You're right. He was not the only one. Yeah.
Well, of course, these people decided that they couldn't let someone whose main slogan that he was running on his campaign was to stamp out corruption. They couldn't let that happen. And so, on false charges, his wife was put into protective custody, so to speak, common law wife. His father was basically left to die in the middle of a heart attack while their home was raided, and Raymond and his mother were both arrested. And it ended up turning into a prison sentence for both of them without jury. Which the sentence was served. Sorry.
What's that? Are you feeling a certain type of way?
It always gets to me, that part of the whole corruption thing. It's just terrible.
What is it? Is it the idea that that the innocent get persecuted and that can happen to people? What is it that upsets you so much about it when you're talking about it?
Well, just the injustice of it, really. And I know it's much of a problem in much of the Western world. I can't say Australia is really any different. The Western country, I don't think anywhere in the world really has a justice system. They're just legal systems.
Well, and legal systems often involve a lot of, in my opinion, injustice.
Absolutely. Yeah.
It seems to me most, and I guess you're probably right. This could be, Australia might be like this. I don't know if it is. Whoever kind of is well off, if you have enough money, you're always going to be fine. Okay.
Yeah.
And if you don't, you're kind of screwed in the system. Yeah.
Anyway, I'm going to skip forward a little bit.
Okay. Because I want to get to here's what I'm so interested in. What I'd like to see is because this gentleman has this backstory, which you learn about later, but you don't really learn all that up front. Something about your first encounter with Lord Rael stuck out to you. Something made you want to learn more. What was that?
The basics of that part of the story were never hidden. That information is all freely available from very early on. But the next part of the video that goes on to show is a light descending above Jerusalem, directly above the Temple Mount, on January 28th, 2011, at 1:23 in the morning. Now remember, Jerusalem has the Iron Dome system, which is automated.
Mm-hmm.
Anything that is not any supposedly man-made aircraft that is not permitted to be in their airspace is just going to get vaporized. And
Now,
for a good, sorry.
I just want to tell people real quick because I don't think they've seen the video. I saw the video. I want to explain to people just briefly what it looks like because I think it called it the Temple on the Rock, the Temple of the Rock, something along those lines.
The Dome of the Rock or the Temple Mount, two different names for the same location.
And it's yet the most holy site for I believe both Islam and Christianity. It's this holy site, and there's a lot of dispute over it because it is in the West Bank, correct? And what would have been Judea and Samaria and Israel?
It's in the middle. It's the center of Jerusalem, essentially.
And so what happens is in 2012, and this is real video. Anybody can see this. It's actually staggering. The video you almost stop when you see it and you go, "What is that?" And you see it really is unbelievable video, unbelievable footage, and it was on Fox News the next day. And this is all captured. Now, what's weird is I noticed, Matthew, from you guys' video footage and the things I've seen from your church, is that it seems like the video is not, it's like hard to find. Like you guys have some kind of older copies of it, but I don't know why that video is not bigger. You know, that video should be everywhere almost.
It does seem to have been filtered off YouTube quite a lot in recent years.
That's wild to me. That's wild to me.
I'm not surprised, but yeah. I think there was originally 5 different angles that it was caught from, all by independent witnesses.
Yeah,
including,
and it legitimately is if people haven't seen it, I highly recommend you go watch this video. And maybe, Ralph, we can do something when we post this. We can put some links into the YouTube, some of these videos, because people need to see this video. It's truly alien. There's no other word for it.
Oh, well, after we're done, I can send you a couple of links myself.
Thank you.
Welcome. Happy to help.
I can put them in the show notes or whatever and do all that. Yeah.
So you see this video, Matthew, you see this video, and what do you think when you see it?
Well, I watched the whole thing, but my first realization as I'm watching this 2-hour and 20-odd minute long video is that everything that is being said and every claim that is being made is fitting like pieces of a jigsaw puzzle into the research that I've already been doing up to that point. Like just missing pieces, gaps being filled in flawlessly.
Yeah.
And that's not to say that I immediately believed what I was seeing. I was still skeptical for quite some time.
Yeah.
But I was analyzing every point, trying to find fault. And I'm not the only one that's done that either.
Yeah.
I think a good 2-3 months I was trying to analyzing every detail, and it all matched. I couldn't refute it. So you're going to say?
Well, I was curious. So you're seeing this and you're piecing it together, and I'm just trying to get in your headspace. I'm trying to put myself in your shoes and really empathize. And so you're these dots are connecting, all these puzzle pieces are falling together, and there's still that same thing when you were 16 and you felt something calling you. I'm assuming you still feel that kind of forward calling. You still feel called towards this.
Yeah, that ended up that a lot of things happened that year. Going back to the epilepsy, but I'll get to that in a second. I took a knee once I got to a point where I couldn't refute what I was seeing anymore. I took a knee and I accepted Lord Rael as the returned Messiah and acknowledged God and completely changed my whole outlook on the world.
Wow.
And I can't remember if it was before or after, but in that same year, I ended up having a whole series of epileptic seizures. That much that the paramedics were having to inject medication directly into my blood vessels to try and get them to stop.
Oh my goodness.
And it ended up being that the only way they could make it happen was to put me into a medically induced coma.
Wow.
But before that had happened, the seizures I'd had, now this is going to be a little bit graphic, just prior warning. The seizures I'd had were seemingly the most violent they'd ever been. I'd caused my nose to bleed, caused me to vomit. Inhaled that mixture in another seizure,
Oh
which
my God.
caused pneumonia and a partial lung collapse.
Oh my God.
And every organ in my body was in some degree of distress, and in some, what there was no treatment for at the time was my kidneys started shutting down.
Oh my God, Matthew.
And once that happens, once your kidneys are gone, at least back then, you're dead. It took a while to come back. Well, I clearly I survived that.
You're
The
here now.
kidneys just stopped. The kidney failure reversed itself,
Wow.
and it took a few years to come back to me. But I started getting flashbacks of something that had happened while I was in that coma. I was visited,
By?
Lord Rael.
Really? And you didn't even know this, that you didn't really even understand that until after that experience, until after some reflection.
Yeah, it took some time for that memory to. Having a seizure alone, it just scrambles your brain. Your
Yeah.
thoughts are just mush for at least weeks afterwards. The amount of memories I've lost of my lifetime, I couldn't tell you. But
Jesus.
and he's quite simply just said to me,
I just have does January 28, 2011 have any significance? Like I know it's an important date, but did that have anything to do with how you felt?
that was the date that the Holy Spirit descended upon Jerusalem, but I don't believe it had any other significance prior to that, as far as I'm aware. Nothing else comes to mind at the moment, at least.
Yeah.
But the memory I had was he just walked up to me and said, "You've still got work to do. It's not your time yet," and put his hand on my shoulder. And here I am.
Yeah.
So, and Matthew, that's amazing. So I want to ask you one other question, which is, because I can tell, like, one thing this is why it's so important for me to people understand the human element to belief and faith. And I live a life that many question the way I do it. And I do things that people don't understand. And sometimes I don't fully understand them, but I have faith in the path. I have faith in the path, even if I question the direction. I trust it. I trust it. So I see your emotion, and I see how you're caught up in this, and it's powerful. It's powerful stuff. And so what I'm curious about is, as you know, you're about to do this. You're about to follow this journey to its completion. You're going to follow Lord Rael. You're going to accept the second coming of the Messiah. Which there's this weird thing that anybody that claims to be the second coming, we all go, well, that's a cult. That's a cult. That's a cult.
Yeah.
But the thing is, what if when Jesus comes back, if we're so programmed to just automatically deny, there's no chance even for this to happen. There's none.
I want to make an interesting point, which I think you will appreciate. The common excuse commonly given by Christians with anyone tells them that Christ is here is in Matthew 24. And call it a coincidence if you like, if I'm quoting from the book of Matthew. Matthew 24, verse 23. Then if any man shall say to you, here is the Christ, or there, do not believe him. For there shall arise false Christs and false prophets, and shall show great signs and wonders, insomuch as to deceive even the elect. But I have told this to you beforehand. then actually, I started a bit earlier. Matthew 26, rather, goes on to say, if therefore they shall say to you, behold, he is in the desert, go ye not out. I haven't picked the best plain language version of this, but I hope it makes sense. Behold,
I'm
he is in
following you, I
the
think.
behold it, he is in the closets. Believe it not. So they're giving specific locations where he's not there. He's not there. Then, for as lightning cometh out of the east and appeareth even unto the west, so shall the coming of the Son of Man be. Wheresoever the body shall be, there shall the eagles also be gathered together. It goes on to give an exact hint of where the physical form of Lord Raymond Lear would be when the Spirit came to join with him. Because directly due east of Jerusalem is the US and Mexico border. From the east to the west, that Spirit instantaneously traveled to a place just south of that border. And since 1983, there has been a treaty that covers I think it's 100 miles, or it might be 100 kilometers, either side of the border, an international zone under what is called the Treaty of La Paz, which in English, of course, is the peace, Prince of Peace.
Wow.
Just little correlation there that I noticed myself. Now, look at the national sigil of Mexico. It's the golden eagle and the bald eagle for
Of
the
course, we have
United
the bald.
States.
We have the
Yes.
bald, which oddly enough, we don't have very many natural bald eagles in this country.
So this international zone straddling the border is in fact where the eagles are gathered together.
Wow. So, okay. So you've got the signs and you've got these things that connect. So when you decide to go down this road, though, when you commit to it, I assume you're like any of us. You have friends, you have family, you have people who might question you. What is that? What was that process like?
I have lost just about every friend I've ever had to
Well,
this.
and
I
why is it because they just can't understand? Like they just why is
can't
it so hard for them to
understand.
accept you're different than do you
I
think
don't know. Can't understand. Don't want to hear it. They just jump to the conclusion that I'm trying to tell them what to believe, which has never been the case. I'm not trying to convert people by force to any ideology does not work. I know that.
Yeah.
Just trying to show them what I have learned and say, just take a look at this. Tell me what you think. But oh no, don't talk to him. But even my own biological family have done this.
Yeah.
That's
That when
the only.
that's what I was worried about because I find like my choices have been because I'm politically a little bit more I don't like hierarchies, let's put it that way. So I've given up my identification, I've given up the car, I travel only by foot right now, and so many people will yell at me and say, "Why are you doing this? It doesn't make sense." And I go, I feel like I have right now for me and my soul I have to do some things that might seem questionable. But for me, it's providing when I go on my walks every day, I'll walk 4 hours a day. And yet I am in communion with God. You know, I'm in communion with the spirit, the wind and the earth and the sun and the heat. And it means something to me. And so the same way you can get like I can see the passion you have for your beliefs. And it's crazy to me that people who love you, people that love me, people love you, they can't see past their own blindness and their own biases. And I'm saying to them, and I don't know how you feel about it, but I'm saying to them, I'm not asking you to go on my journey. I'm asking you to accept my journey. That's all I'm asking you to do. And you might be telling them they might have to join you. I don't know, but you might feel similar to me. I don't know.
Well, I would at least like to see them look at what I want to show them
Yeah,
and make an informed decision
yeah,
instead of just saying, I don't want to know about it.
Just completely dismissing you. Yeah.
Yeah.
Now, have you found, as we make these decisions, we also find community. Have you found new community?
Absolutely. One of the early, like I said, that big long video was a compilation, and one of the earliest ones was, I think it was the second video, was Lord Rael himself speaking, addressing the world, which the date that video was published, I don't know if you remember Robert Fitzpatrick and Harold Camping.
I remember Harold Camping. He predicted in 2011, I believe, something was going to happen.
It was May 21st, I believe.
And by the way, oddly enough, and this is, I don't want to say anything crazy, but I'm going to tell you something, Matthew, because like I think we're connecting and having a good conversation. Harold Camping, the day he predicted the rapture, only one person, this is crazy, one person died, and it was huge news. Do you know who died on that day?
No.
The Macho Man Randy Savage. So
really,
I've often wondered if he was the only one raptured. I've often wondered if maybe the Macho Man was the only pure. I've wondered many a time because it was the Harold Camping, and Harold Camping is an interesting guy because he had been predicting for a long time and he never quite got it right, but he also never lost faith. He never lost faith, and I respect that. I respect faith.
It just so happened that this last prediction that he made was the same day that Lord Rael verbally addressed the world.
Wow. Wow. Wow.
So it wasn't exactly the rapture, but it was the here I am moment.
Yeah. So as you've become a part of this, I want to ask you two other questions. One is, what is your community? What is the community of your church like? The Ecumenical Order of Christ. What is that church like? How many, like, is it even possible to even know how many people are in your church? Is that even possible?
The Facebook congregation group has approximately 8,000 members in it, but
wow,
most of them are disappointingly inactive. As for our own, well, the order itself is the clergy, and there are, I can never remember the number, but somewhere around 12 to 14 of us in this house.
Wow.
That we're living and working together at the moment.
Oh, you guys are actually a community now.
We are, yes.
Where at? People in Australia?
No, not in Australia. Still in the international zone near the Mexico-US border.
Oh, you're in the little international zone. Okay.
I came over here. I left Australia on Easter in 2022.
Wow.
Yeah, that's what I was going to mention. I was going to mention he's a couple of hours behind us, but you know.
Yeah.
So then if you're actually not that far from, because I'm in Waco, you're not that far from me. Like, I thought you were on the other side of the world. You're not. So what is that community like? How is it going for you guys? How is your life now? And because this is what people miss. People can judge anybody for their beliefs, but what do those beliefs provide you? How does it help your life? And how does it benefit the people around you? So, like I'd like to hear some of that.
Well, how to answer that's going to be a little bit tricky, but it's never boring. I'll give you that much. The people in this house, we have people from Norway, Sweden, Scotland, UK. About half the people are from the US. Sometimes I'm the whole Florida man thing. We have one of them. We have Florida man here, and these.
One of the biggest, I guess you would call it like witness or testimony that your church provides that I found powerful was and I'm gonna mess I think his name's Adam, and he was almost an NFL player.
Yeah.
And I'm a sports guy, and I remember I was listening to him talk, and similar to the way you talked. And I just know this is because I know that feeling of hearing something and just going, I needed to hear that, and that felt aligned with my spirit. And I feel like something like that happened to him too. Is he still a part of your organization?
Absolutely. I'm not sure exactly where he is right now, but he's in the house somewhere.
Well, okay, great. And is Lord Rael in the house?
Occasionally.
Occasionally?
We do see him, but of course, he doesn't answer to us either.
I
He does
understand.
what he does. His main priority is to do what the Father expects of him, which, of
Yeah.
course, is the responsibility that everyone in this house carries to do our best to, as Christ himself said 2,000 years ago, to love God primarily and love each other. Because this is one of the biggest lessons that is difficult for people, especially of this generation, to learn, prioritizing other people over ourselves. But
Huge.
when it
Huge. Huge.
yeah, and when it comes, and it is getting close, when the new kingdom arrives, I'm sure you've seen the way the world has been deteriorating the last 15 years or so.
I don't know when it happened, and I'll tell you, Cardinal, I'll tell you that. Um, Something happened, maybe it was before COVID. It was like 2013 to 2015 to 2016, somewhere around there. And sometimes I think it was when the Large Hadron Collider got fired off. I don't know why, but I think that when the minute they started messing with that Large Hadron Collider, things have been wild. And so I often think to myself, the way that we're living now is against the natural order. I think that. I believe that. And I believe that in a lot of ways, the small, the intimate, the communities, the tribes, these are the things that are the most important. We shouldn't be trying to conquer the world anymore. We should be trying to look around at our friends and neighbors and help them out. That's kind of the way we find salvation is through service to others, right? And so
In a big way, yes.
yeah, and so I just think that I love what you're saying because it's lost on people. The idea of like forgoing the self, forgoing the self, and in turn and transmuting that into a service, industry. And all right, that's not a great way to put it, but I know what you're saying, and I so believe in that.
Do I always succeed at that to the level that I would like to? No, but I do try. And
So how do you guys? What is your acts of service look like? How do you guys perform
well,
service?
we're currently doing a Sabbath service like a live broadcast thing, which we're still ironing out the bugs in every Saturday. Independently, we're making videos just talking about various
Yeah.
things, and for the last 15 years, it seems like we've been shadow banned on every platform.
Well, and I
We
saw
would
that too, which I think is crazy. I saw that like I would have expected, especially because I know you guys actually have like a community, I would have expected the views to be higher. But I feel like it's like the same way that the video of the mount and the UFO and the mount is kind of, why is that hidden? I don't know. It's like
because
yeah, go
I
ahead.
can tell you why, and this is getting back to the concept of the metaphysical, let's say, influence on the world. Satan and those who serve him are still in control at the moment.
Yeah.
And for a big part, it doesn't suit their purpose for the message that we're trying to get out there
Yeah.
to be
So
widespread.
what was it like the first time you met Lord Rael? What was that like? Because I assume anybody's mind, we always paint a picture of something being a certain way, and it's never the way we paint it. It's never that way.
I I still have no words for it. One thing I can tell you is I was born with hazel-colored eyes that used to change color. depending on the state of my health, and in between brown and green. Since the first time I met him, they've been permanently primarily green.
Wow.
So his touch alone, I also know for a fact, I haven't had a seizure since I've been here.
Wow.
They just stop.
Now, Matthew, I'm not trying to say I'm almost asking this because I want people to understand it. You're meaning for 100% certainty, since you have been in this house, and this is something you used to deal with on a regular basis, that medical issue is gone from you now.
It is gone.
It's amazing.
Yeah, I just wanted to touch on your health for a moment because, I've been kind of open about my anxiety and stuff, and I was just curious, what would you tell someone that where their mind always goes to the worst case scenario, or they can't ever find peace? What would you say to them?
It is going to sound. It may sound like an easy answer, but a lot of the time myself, I'm fairly level-headed and calm and that kind of thing. Anxiety does creep in every now and then. One thing that always helps, and that's prayer.
Yes.
And at least for me, prayer is not, very rarely am I praying to ask for anything. I'm praying just to say thank you.
Yes. Gratitude prayers.
Yes.
Well, I wouldn't be here if God had decided otherwise.
Do you ever get, Matthew, because Ralph, I'm curious if you feel this way because you're asking the question about your anxiety. But I find, Matthew, when I am in, and I hate to say this because, I hope you understand, and I hope this conversation has revealed to you that we really are trying to be open and honest and real with people and not try to, put people in any labels or corners or anything like that. I'm very interested in your story and your church's story, and I respect it, and I respect what you guys do. I mean that. But at the same time, I find for me sometimes it's like my path is different maybe than your path. So when I talk about my walks in the sun and the earth, something about, for me, nature, I feel the wind will hit me in just the right way, Matthew. I will cry. And I will not cry out of sadness. I will cry because I can't believe sometimes how perfect it all is and how I'm getting to experience it. And why me? As Chris Christopherson would say, why me, Lord? Why am I, out of all this, the universe and the cosmos and the infinite everything, here I am getting to feel this, and I get overwhelmed by how powerful that is,
I understand. Well, to my mind, what you're experiencing is gratitude, appreciation for what we've been given. I don't know if where either of you live, this is a thing you may have seen, but in the area of Australia that I grew up in, is the most heavily mined part of the country for coal. There's this one particular valley has the highest concentrations of coal in the entire country.
I missed that, Matthew. Did you freeze up? We lost him.
Okay.
You're back. I got you back. I lost you for a second. What were you saying?
Okay. I was talking about it in the part of Australia that I grew up in is the most heavily mined part of the country for coal.
Oh, okay. Yeah, coal mining town. It's like Kentucky. You're a coal mining town person. Okay.
So I'm assuming you've seen open cut coal mines.
I never have.
No. Okay. Well, this is the way they do it in Australia. They find a mountain or a hill that has coal in it and take the top off it. Destroy the whole hill. Yeah. They don't tunnel in. It's just destroy the landscape.
The mountain out.
Yeah.
Wow.
And it is, from the perspective of the people, it is safer because you don't have to worry about tunnels caving in on them.
Yeah.
But the havoc that it causes to the countryside, the terrain.
Yeah.
I didn't have to drive through those regions very often, but when I did, I couldn't help but look at it and most of them now, because they're running out of places to dig, at least as far as I'm aware, that a lot of these open cut areas are visible from the road.
Wow.
And you just see it there, like either side flanking the road, and it's just makes me feel sick.
No, this is kind of more like maybe like an indigenous belief I have. But when I see like a mountain, there's a mountain in Nepal called Sagarmatha, I think is the name of it, but maybe we know it as Mount Everest. I think is how most people know it.
Okay.
And it's in Nepal. It's the highest mountain in the world. And when I see something like a mountain, I think to myself, there's a sentience to it. There's a life to it. There's something to the mountain that's beyond. It's not a human like me. It may not have a consciousness like me, but it is a life that deserves respect, created by God, the same way I am, kind of.
By my understanding, and it correlates to what you're saying closely, that by my understanding, the planet itself and every planet out there does have its own form of I'm not sure about a consciousness, but
Yeah, it's
some
like a
form
tricky
of a
word. I use
soul.
the word sentience. I use the word sentience because that sounds closer to me.
Okay, if
Yeah.
we'll go with that, if that's the word that's familiar to you.
I appreciate it.
Well, I'm not going to argue if I can't say for certain that I know better.
Well, no, Matthew, I appreciate it. Now, so okay, so what is a day in the life? Because I feel like we could do this all night. But what is a day in the life of somebody in your church right now? What does a day in the life of the church look like right now?
It is our days are primarily focused on, and this may sound boring, um, primarily focused on trying to find ways to eliminate those things from our life. It's said that being human, we can never fully eliminate sin from our lives, but for those of us here, we focus on trying to be, and it might sound corny, the best people we can be.
Not
Because
corny at all. As a matter of fact, what you're describing to me, it almost sounds like you're living almost a monastic life or a monastery type life.
in
And there's
many
no
ways, yes,
There's
yeah,
and as a guy who loves Saint Benedict, because I'm an underground Catholic. I say I'm an underground Catholic, but a guy who loves Saint Benedict and established very clear rules, and the rules were all based around on how to have a very fulfilled life in a very small way. And I feel like if you're practicing these practices of like every day, you're waking up and you're doing what, as Benedict would say, pray and work, pray and work. I mean, Cardinal Matthew, I don't know how anybody could look at you guys' life and have any sense of judgment on it other than that's good. What they are doing is good for the world. It's good for humanity because like people like judge people's beliefs, but like look at the actions people have. Look at people's actions.
yeah,
And if somebody's willing to move from their hometown, I assume you were in Australia your whole life. And
yeah.
yet here you are in
E- East
international
Coast, a
territory.
couple of hours drive north of Sydney.
Yeah, you never, and then now you've been. How long have you been at the church you're at now?
A little bit over 4 years.
4 years. So,
As of April, yeah, 4 years.
and how old are you, sir? If I don't want to be rude, but how old are you, sir?
I'm 46 this year.
40. So we're not that far away, sir. I'm 42, and
Okay.
so you at when you were my age, you left the only place you had known to take a risk and to go somewhere that you felt called to go to. That is what
Well,
I call action, sir. That's action.
I that night was very interesting, and I remember it like it happened yesterday. Because my personal life was, or not was, it had fallen apart. Because I had just like a regular life, and in many ways, and I ended up at a point which, if it hadn't have been for my place in the Ecumenical Order of Christ and my plans, I already had the ticket booked And it just so happened that the collapse of my life coincided with the flight date.
Hey, you know what?
It,
I hate to say it. Might have been a blessing. Might have been a blessing.
no doubt about that. But
Probably a very crappy day, though. Probably a horrible day.
That was that whole 48-hour period, because I was traveling for 24 hours from the time I left my parents' house. A brother of mine in the order, who's still in Australia, he said to me, because I was just talking to him on the phone before he went to bed. He said, "If you need me at any time, just call." Now, the funny thing is, once he goes to sleep, a herd of elephants couldn't wake him up. But I had my suitcases packed, and I was standing at the front of my parents' house, trying to get either a cab, a taxi, or an Uber to take me to the Greyhound station. They'd both stopped work. They'd shut down for the night, both of them. And the state that I was in tears. And I didn't know if they were tears of joy, tears of sorrow, tears of stress. I couldn't tell you.
And did you ever have a moment where you second guessed yourself, or you had doubt and you thought about not doing it?
No. I stopped. I gave up even thinking about that when I looked up at the sky, and now, of course, by Christ's teachings of Yeshua 2,000 years ago, asking God for a sign by his teachings is the sign of a wicked generation. But in this one moment, I said, "I'm not demanding, Father, but if you would give me just one little sign that I'm doing the right thing, I would greatly appreciate it." And it was like a laser pointer had been turned on and aimed at the sky, and it just red dot, and it appeared there, and it went up and off. Not a shooting star, because they're usually going down, and you can clearly tell that it's a object breaking up in the atmosphere. This was like red point of light, just zip and off.
Wow.
And so, okay, no second guessing. I'll do as you're telling me. So, because I couldn't get the Uber or anything to work,
I hope you understand that when I hear your story, Matthew, I mean this from the bottom of my heart. I think there's a courage to what you and your church do, a courage to what you and your fellow members do, because most people fear judgment of their fellow man to the point that they can't even follow faith sometimes. That they know in their heart that they're unaligned. They know in their heart that they're not on the right path, but they can't take that step because that step outside of the circle, it immediately puts you outside of the circle, right? And that's a scary thing for humans to feel. But yet, what you experienced is like you still found tribe, you still found positivity, you still found work and prayer and gratitude because you followed your heart. And you found it in a way that you would not have found it back in Australia still, I don't think. And your life was shit then, or not shit, maybe that's too hard, but like you expressed enough to say it wasn't great.
God was turning the thumb screws to make me move.
Yes. And the fact that you followed that, though, and that's what I want you to understand, what I admire. You followed that. And so many people want to turn back. You know that. So many people would have. And so there's such a courage to that for me, knowing the path that I feel called down to and how I get judged, I tell you, to you and your church, I express nothing but like a kind of like a alliance of man. It's like saying, I see you guys, I see what you're doing, and I go, I wish more people had that kind of courage. You know, I really do.
I would like to think I speak for everyone here when I say God has put each of us in this house in a situation where we are on first name speaking terms with the returned Messiah. Is there anything that's, how do I word it? if we are not doing all we can for God, he doesn't need us. But if we are not doing all we can to at least honor him, we are failing in the worst possible way.
Yeah. So what has been, and this will be, I guess, I don't want to, like, Ralph, I want to ask like one big last question for Cardinal here, but Ralph, you got anything else as you're listening to this? What a fascinating and beautiful conversation this has been.
Yeah.
I really enjoyed it, to be honest.
Yeah.
By the way, I was hoping you would. I didn't know if you guys would join us or not, because I assume there's some skepticism in talking to people sometimes.
But we can't be afraid of that.
Yeah, you guys are not afraid. That's one thing we learned.
Yeah, it's all been very, heartfelt and everything, and yeah. So this really, I really have enjoyed it.
So Cardinal, I want to ask you one last question, because I think it'll be honest, but it'll be honest in a way that I think people would be surprised by, because anything involves, we're humans, so nothing's ever perfect. There's always ups and downs in life. So what are the surprising challenges of the last 4 years in your new life that maybe it's like, man, these are the challenges I didn't see coming. These are the difficulties that I still struggle with, or whatever.
To be honest, the biggest one is coming face to face with my own failings. That is the biggest and the hardest, even with the time that I had just before I left Australia. Coming to terms with within yourself the things that need to change. That is more incredibly difficult than I could ever put into words. And part of the reason it is difficult to put into words is because every person is different. Every personality, the way every individual is going to face that challenge, they're going to see it in a different way.
Yeah.
Now, I don't know if you want to get into it or not, but I know you've been kind of critical of the Australian government. Like, yeah. So I just, don't know, you may want to share an opinion about, maybe that, I mean, now that you're not there anymore or currently.
I wasn't afraid of it when I was there. But,
yeah. What is your perspective now,
I'll say the same thing in summary, and this applies to any government in the world. And this is part of the reason things are happening as they are right now, because we are in the end times. I can promise you that if you can't see it. The human governments have proven their incompetence in properly managing the well-being of their people.
I agree.
They've been given the opportunity for centuries to try and get it right. I can't remember which one it was, but there was a Canadian president who seemed to be almost on the right path, where he, on his cabinet, he had a teacher as his education minister, he had a retired soldier as his defense minister, and his whole cabinet was along those lines.
The people that had the jobs actually had experience for the jobs they had.
Exactly.
Yeah, look at that. Yeah.
Whereas your average democratically elected government, it's a popularity contest.
Yeah. I say it all the time, Matthew. You might disagree. I think democracy is a problem in a way. It's a problem in a way.
There's elements of democracy that have merit, where elements of it that can be used, but when it is used as a standalone method of
the problem with majority rule is the minority always gets crushed. The minority always gets crushed.
And the majority of people don't know what's best for them.
Yeah, well, I mean, this is a bizarre thing to think. I keep thinking kings worked for one reason, because it was a place for us to put all our, like, I'm going to use a bad word. Cardinal, I'm going to apologize. I'm going to use this has been the least amount of profanity I've ever used in a podcast, so please understand, I respect you, okay?
Look, don't hold back on my account. Profanity doesn't bother me.
Okay.
There's only one particular word which is.
Well, I assume
if that one comes out, I'll let you know.
Word. I will not use a blasphemous word in front
Okay.
of you. But
we're on the same page.
The king was a vessel for the community to go, fuck that guy. And if we could all unite in the idea of like that, you know? So I think there's like, it's like anything. It's like any system. There's good and bad to everything. There's no 100%. There's no 100%. And that's why spirituality and following our own paths and having faith and praying is so important, because that provides us what the government can never provide, which is a path towards being a better human. You know, it's a path towards being a better human. You can't get that from the government.
The new kingdom will have a form of government, but it will be one where the focus is the well-being of the people and it will be, well, what do we know the Lord as? The King of Kings.
King of Kings. It will be a king. It will be a king.
It will be a monarchy. And the difference is, though, these are monarchs who don't need to leech off the people for their own well-being. One thing you may find interesting is there are ways to make many laws disappear, which the later, or make many laws unnecessary. I'll put it that way.
I like that. I like less laws.
And I just had a mental blank. I was going to move on to a connected point with that. Less laws and less taxes.
There you go.
Fixed tax rate for everyone. 10%.
Well, if you can do this, Cardinal, if you can relay from this little silly podcast of a few guys here to a community in a house in between Mexico and the United States, if you can relay to that house you're in, that at least from one perspective of like what you guys are doing is seen and appreciated and respected, and keep doing the Lord's work. I would say keep doing the Lord's work. I'm not saying. I'm still struggle with my own doubts, my own uncertainties, my own, you know what I'm saying? I still struggle.
I understand.
Yet I do see people who don't, and I do see people convicted, which is a beautiful word, convicted in their own faith. And when I see that, it inspires me to try to be more convicted myself. So if anything, even if I'm not like joining the house, what I'm telling you is you're exemplifying, and your group is exemplifying in such a manner that the people who do see it and encounter it and are open with their hearts, I think we'll see nothing but positivity. You know, like honestly, I think it's a beautiful thing.
I appreciate that.
So just tell everybody in the house, we love them. We love all you guys. You guys are doing great stuff, man.
I think at least a few of them are watching, but yeah,
hey,
I will.
Hey, to the EOC, to the Knights and the clergy and the Cardinals and all that follow Lord Rael, at least from one guy, speaking just for JC, ever since I discovered you guys, I've had nothing but love in my heart for you guys, because I love people who are not afraid to be honest about who they are. And you guys are skin in the game. In a world filled with people who do not do that. And a world filled with people who talk, and never commit to the bit. I respect anybody who says, I'm not just going to talk about it anymore. I'm going to put this into action. And that is rare in this world. You know that, Matthew. You know it's rare, sir.
It is.
So I respect you, sir. And I hope you, anytime any of you guys want to come on, anytime you guys got something you want to say, please let us know. We'd love to have you back. Anytime, hey, if Lord Rael ever feels like he'd like to talk, we would talk to him, you know, but we're just saying we would.
Interesting concept that is probably may not be out of the question, but of course I can't decide for him.
No, I'm just saying you've got an ear. Cardinal Matthew, you have an ear to the Messiah. So if you just want to put in a good word for old JC and Ralphie, feel free, sir.
I will.
Okay.
Ralphie, I think we're about there, sir. I think we're about there.
Yeah. You have anything to promote? Where can people find your work and all that good stuff?
We have a book on Amazon, which I will send you the link for that as well. Apart from that, there's the website, which I think you've already got. If you could, there's actually 2 websites, and there's also, I haven't really brushed on this. The head of the EOC is a man by the name of Richard Ruff, and he is Australian. He's a former soldier, and he has been studying for in excess of, I think, 20 years now. Have you ever heard of the Torah codes?
I can't believe hold on. We can't end the podcast yet because this is important. I watched this movie one time. Have you ever seen the movie Pi, Matthew? Have you ever seen the movie Pi?
I've heard of it. I haven't seen it.
It has Jewish numerology in it, and it's where I learned
gematria.
It's a Darren Aronofsky movie. It's a Darren Aronofsky black and white movie from like 1998, and yet it has 2 things that I never forgot. One thing is there's something about the Jewish word for mother that equates to a number, and the Jewish word for father that equates to a number. And when you put mother
gematria.
And father together, it equals like family or something. You know what I'm talking about? Yeah.
Yeah.
So there's all this interesting math that's embedded in Hebrew, like Jewish. I don't know how to explain it. And so that is a thing that you guys. I think he has a software or something. There's some kind of app. I don't know what it is, but there's some kind of.
Well, we have an app which is still to some extent in development, but which searches the Torah itself, which is the original text of the 10 Commandments, the Hebrew Bible.
It's the first 5 books, right? The first 5 books of the Bible?
The Torah is the first 5 books, and then there's the Tanakh, which is the rest.
Okay, yeah.
But the book, the codes that are found just to exist within the scope of the Torah itself are acknowledged as the most significant. And we have actually lost count at this point of how many positive confirmations there are of Lord Rael as the Messiah in this 3,000 odd year old document.
Wow.
There is one in particular, which is his surname is Raymond Lear was the name he was born with. One of the best codes that we've got is Lear, he is the Messiah. There's the search term. And underneath that is a whole list of terms that are found around that. The search term goes in vertically into the text. By the method that is used, anything that is horizontal is just excluded because that's the natural direction that the text goes anyway.
Okay.
So we want to eliminate anything that's just there as part of the natural scripture. If it goes in the opposite direction, we might include it if it appears relevant to what's there. But a lot of these things are these words that are in diagonally, and experts do try to debunk it, saying that you can do the same thing with books like Moby Dick or War and Peace, I think is another example that's made. And yes, you can do that and get individual words. With the Torah, though, the exception is you can get complete phrases. And one of these codes in particular.
Anybody's never looked into Jewish numerology at all doesn't understand. It's like literally the language is based on numbers. It's literally like it's like, sure, you could do that with War and Peace or Moby Dick, but that's going to be more like just the fact of like you put enough words together, you can find a pattern. Okay, this is different because literally the language is based on a mathematical thing. It's like the language and the math are connected. Am I wrong for saying that? Am I messed up thinking that, or
the numerology that you're talking about? I am aware of what you're talking about, and that is a thing that the rabbis refer to as gematria, where there is a certain mathematical.
But like it's like embedded. It's like the math is embedded in it somehow. Yeah.
there is a connection between the Torah and the Torah codes and the gematria. We haven't found yet exactly how to detect it, but almost certainly it is there. But the Torah and the codes associated with it go off the actual alphabet, or the Aleph Bet, as the Hebrew version is called.
I see. Well,
I will send you some examples as well.
Where can people find the Torah code website or the app or whatever? Where can people find it?
I'll provide the link for you for that one as well.
10-4. So Ralph, here's what we gotta do. We gotta do homework afterwards. Cardinal Matthew, the beautiful Cardinal Matthew, who took so much time with us tonight, is gonna send us a bunch of links. We need to make sure when we put the full or the shorts or whatever you put out, Ralph, put all the links on them if you don't mind, okay?
Got it. Yeah. It'll be all in the show notes and all that. Yeah.
Thank you. Cardinal, go with God, my friend. God bless you. God bless you, sir. And let us as humans always pray for each other. You let us pray for each other and be in each other's hearts and always express gratitude. And I have nothing but gratitude for the time that you've taken with us and the thoughts that you shared with us. You are a guy who is living an interesting journey. You're on an interesting journey, and you're
it's so definitely that.
Yet, come on, man, Matthew. Who else has been doing? You have a handful of people in your life who are on the same journey. Very few have taken that trip, and by all means, that is to be respected. So, Cardinal Matthew, and to the Ecumenical Order of Christ, to Lord Rael, and to the beautiful community. And where are you guys at? What town are we in?
We're a little way south of Tijuana.
So to the great people outside of Tijuana, we celebrate you tonight. We lift you up. We hold you in our hearts, and we thank you for your time, sir.
Yeah.
Thank you. And I'm hoping we can do this again.
I would love to. You tell us when, okay?
I'll be in touch on that too.
That's good. Good night.
Thank you.
Good night.
Talk to you later, Ralph.
All right. We'll call it a night. Thank you. Okay. Thank you for joining us on Radio Ralph and Friends. I am Radio Ralph, and we do appreciate all the time that Matthew was able to give us. And we just invite you to continue to connect with us and stay with us. And yeah, we're very appreciative. So thank you all. Thank you. Thank you again, Matthew. Thank you. And with that, we're going to call it a night.
Once upon a time, not that long ago, everyone would gather round their transistor radios. There were zoo crews and shock jocks and boss jocks